had a 1:30 alarm and a 4 a.m. alarm. And then I woke up at 5 and it was still the same. 1:30 was like, it is definitely storming. 4 a.m. was like, well, it's still here. And then 5 a.m. was like, yeah, we probably need to delay or cancel. And it's still really wet out, so. We've done it enough now where we know everything, but like, there were times where we've woken up and like we didn't notify all the people we needed to, and people still showed up, and that sucks. Of course, now it's like the storm is.
Yeah, the problem was not that it was going to be storming when we're riding. The problem was that the roads are still going to be wet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just rained up until 20 minutes before the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Not ideal.
It was very wet out there.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the validation.
Thank you. I mean, the worst feeling is you call it the night before or whatever, and it's like, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And like, if one person were to get hurt because of the wet road, it's like, it's not good. Not good. That's something we want. But yeah, tomorrow will be beautiful. We'll get to sleep in another hour. Roll a little bit later. Sundays feel a bit more quiet, I think, out on the road Sunday mornings, so it's actually kind of nicer to go ride here on Sunday mornings. But I think Sundays are more difficult for most people than a Saturday morning, so with a last minute pivot, we already know like some ride leaders won't be able to make it. Probably the same for people in the communities as well, but we also might not be able to have our escorts tomorrow, which is fine. It just gives a much different approach to how we do it. So
feel like the first couple of years of Breakfast Club. No police escorts, fewer ride leaders.
Yeah.
Just doing it.
It's very fun.
A little more rough
Feels
around the
different.
edges.
Yeah. So, ride morning. We have a couple ride leaders who show up to Central Machine Works, the brewery that we ride out of, at 6 a.m. Setup starts as soon as the gates are open. So we just start pulling out tents and pulling out bike racks and pulling out whatever else it is that we have for that ride. Between 6:45 and 7:15 is when most of the ride leaders start showing up. And it's kind of just all hands on deck, making sure radios are charged and making sure that we have everything set out. People can fill their bottles and people can grab snacks for the ride, and if people want to get espresso, they can. We also have drip coffee. It's Breakfast Club. We gotta have coffee. And the parking lot is more or less just our setup and then bikes.
Well, I actually was a swimmer my whole life, so at age 7, I was in the water, and committed to staring at a black line for years and years and years, and I swam through college, and when I graduated, I was like, what now? What do I do with my life? I've known hours and hours a day of just swimming, and it's like I have all this time back. And my best friend who I swam with in college, his dad bought him a bike when we graduated, and I saw him go out and he was riding around Austin and having a good time, and I was like, that does look like it's pretty fun. Maybe that's something I want to do. So then I went and got a road bike, and we would just kind of casually, go out on weekends. And he knew a couple people. They were a little bit older and had families, and they were like, we only have a couple hours on a Saturday morning to go ride. And so the only people I rode with was me, my friend Jake, and then Matt and Justin, who ultimately was the 4 of us, 4 founders of Breakfast Club. But it was all based on time constraints and life outside the bike, where we were like, hey, we have this certain window every week to get together. We all loved riding bikes, but we pretty much only did a couple hours of that and just kind of hung out afterwards and enjoyed each other's company more so. And that was, I think, the start of what ultimately has become Breakfast Club, but that approach to just quality over quantity on a Saturday morning with others was kind of how it all started. We grew it to probably 10, 15 people of this approach to a couple hours of hills, couple hours of hanging out after. And we're I think we should invite more people. How do we do this? We're having a lot of fun, people relate, and we just were let's just make an Instagram and like invite, put up a ride on a Saturday and invite people. And sure enough, that was like the first Breakfast Club ride. I think there were like 15 people on it. It was great.
All right, let's
We're gonna need to be.
let's do a quick meeting. So we want to make sure we're communicating well. Zippers especially will need to kind of relay from back to front, front to back, to make sure we're keeping groups tight.
If it's wet, I don't want to send a bunch of people down 1, 22, 22 or far west.
As the club has grown, we've needed more ride leaders. We can't lead 800 people with 15 ride leaders. You need 20, you need 25, you need 30 ride leaders. And a lot of that has come from within, where you have members of the community who are showing up every month, doing the work, regardless of if they have the yellow helmet or not. They're still there doing it.
C group, we got Cloud.
And so there's a lot of ride leaders that when I started out, and I came in about a year after the club started, they were not ride leaders. We had maybe 20, probably fewer at the time. And now there's a ton that we've added, and that's going to continue.
Raise your hand for me if this is your first time at Breakfast Club. All right, welcome. A group, we're going to have you guys stage right now. So if you want to ride an A group, go ahead and start staging out on the road. We're going to get you guys off momentarily, and then I'll have a few more announcements for B through D. So A group staging right now. A group staging right now.
We didn't design this to be a huge cycling club. I think we just wanted to provide the opportunity for like others who kind of wanted an outlet like we did to ride. But within 2 rides, we quickly saw like a lot of growth. And I think over the span of 9 months, we outgrew like 3 or 4 different locations of trying to like house people who wanted to get together for 2 hours on a Saturday morning and ride bikes and explore Austin. And we have no idea what we're doing. Like, we're just people who like to ride together. Like, we have not designed any structure around this. And then we quickly kind of felt that fulfillment of, wow, everyone's having a lot of fun and enjoying these moments. I think that was pretty like captivating for us, because we're like, wow, others are also feeling the same way we are and inviting their friends to come. And it was really like transitional time between like figuring it out behind the scenes and enjoying the moment of that fast growth initially.
My name is Jordy Ammons, and I've been riding with Breakfast Club since day 1 for 5 years. So my first ride with Breakfast Club, like I said, it was like maybe 15 people. And I've been riding bikes for 10 years already, almost 10 years at that point. So I just kind of rolled up, and you just never really know. My experience has been show up to a group ride, I'm the only female there, and then my pipes just get absolutely cleaned, and I'm like shelled out the back, and I'm like, okay, well, that was fun riding with people for about 15 miles, but here I go on my like ride home. But no, it was very much like a very inclusive, it wasn't a race. Everyone was, it was there just to be like a social event. So that was kind of my first experience with Breakfast Club. And then, going back the next week, and it was the same thing. And I was like, okay, I'm bought in. I will be here every single week.
We always were like, anyone can show up to Breakfast Club, and we want any skill level to be able to show up. And when there were 4 of us and more people started showing up, it was like we had to have someone ride with the slowest rider and someone ride with the fastest rider. And naturally, we had one group, then it was like, well, people are kind of falling outside of the group level. Then we had 2 groups, and then we had 3 groups. And as so long as we still have our D group, and it's still a welcoming entry point and a place where people can go and be like, oh wow, maybe one day I could ride in C group or B group or A group. But it was always meeting the riders where they're at and being able to adapt, because sometimes a lot of fast people would show up, sometimes they wouldn't be there. And so having that flexibility and still being able to manage a ride with varied skill levels was really important for us.
The first time I did that, I was like, oh, we're so close. And I went, just hit it. I'm Paul McCoy. I've been riding with Breakfast Club for 1.5 years. I moved to Austin, and I originally joined Raw Running, which is a big running community here. And I met some fellas there that for about a good year probably harassed me to get a bike and join Breakfast Club. And I just kept hearing about Breakfast Club. Eventually joined, and essentially every month I come to the group. I started in Group D, which is awesome because it's a very neighborhood ride. But I've been kind of working my way through, the higher paces. Like, this is the first sport for me where I'm actually excited to get faster. I get pissed when I get dropped. It's been great because even though I can definitely push myself into like C and B group, I actually enjoy going to do Group D rides just because it's a path of entry. And I had a lot of friends that kind of took a slow ride to keep up with me and kind of introduce me to the sport.
I think it took a little bit for people from the top end of the sport to come to Breakfast Club, because we were kind of a ragtag group that just went to the hills, and like we all just kind of climbed up at our own pace and then we went back. But then it became that moment where people did come and they were pushing that top end of Breakfast Club in our group ride.
And honestly, A group used to feel like a straight up race. When I first joined, the entire ride, start to finish, full gas. And now that it's gotten so big, we've kind of had to dial it back a little bit. It's a fast ride, but it's together all the way out of town. And we have a couple key segments on each ride where we let people open it up. And that's where you really get to see it go, because then people just empty the tank on one climb.
I'm Eric Boyle, and I've been riding with Breakfast Club for 5 years. I think I started riding with Breakfast Club around late 2020, but there's I think 30 to 50 people or something like that. So it's a very different vibe. I remember, I think I went B group. We did a route that shortcutted the A route. And so all the A riders went, and then they all passed us back on 360. And I remember they literally passed me like you're standing still. Like where they're like zoom and then just gone, and you're like, there's no way. Like it was just ridiculous. So I think that's super motivating though, because it's really fun to be a beginner at a sport. I think the best way to get faster is just like be around people that are faster. And the good thing about Breakfast Club people is I think most of them want everyone else to be faster. So yeah, over time, kind of started riding with faster people. And I guess the more you get on the bike and the more hours you get, kind of just slowly you end up there one day and be like, oh, I guess I'm riding with the people that I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to ride with. So it's super rewarding.
The Big Breakfast Club ride, we started out as a weekly ride. Since it's gotten so big, we've scaled it back to monthly. The women's ride has been weekly up until last year. This year we do twice a month. It honestly started out as a group of maybe 5 or 6 women that we were just like, let's go ride and drink beer afterward in the evening. And it was like a weekly thing. And then from there, people were like, hey, I want to come join that. Like, how can I be a part of it? And so then it was kind of a similar kind of exponential growth as far as like Breakfast Club. It was like, we're creating this type of environment where you can come get familiar with the riding in a group, asking questions, feeling good, learning something. And then whenever you show up to this big, massive 1,000-person ride, there's somebody that you're gonna know. Anywhere else you ride, it's usually a 9-to-1 ratio when it comes to men to women. In Austin at Breakfast Club, it's like a 60-40. So I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that.
It's very clear that there's some sort of amazing movement within road cycling that's happening in Austin. It's very, very cool to be a part of that and see it happen and try to help foster it. But I think the movement and the power comes from the community and the people that show up. This would be nothing if no one came to ride, right? And so I think that we don't take that lightly. And so we do really try to be aware of it, and what we do on a monthly basis does set some norms for the sport and for the norms for the community here. And I think that stepping out of it has also kind of been an important thing as of lately for me, because when you're here, maybe the norm is a huge group ride that takes over the streets, but that's not normal, and it doesn't happen in other cities or arguably anywhere else in the country. And so yeah, it's something that we don't take lightly. It's something we always do try to keep ourselves in check with, and make sure that we're not taking this in a direction that doesn't still keep the people who ride with it at the heart of it.
At its core, the one thing we don't ever want to lose is that the magic. And we always use that term, the Breakfast Club magic, but it's just something about all of the pieces coming together, from ride leaders, from the actual structure of the ride, the brands that are pouring into the community, and the people that are showing up. Like, all of that kind of pieced together creates this thing that it's hard to put a finger on, but you feel it when you're there, and that's something we don't want to lose.